Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, all of you mayoral types. My name is Josh, and thank you so very much for tuning in to another episode of Dead Men Streaming on YouTube. All right, everybody. So, our city of Imini Bay is actually growing at an outstanding pace. It's doing a lot better than I thought it would. Only been a handful of game sessions so far, and this has been a lot of fun. It's been a lot of fun doing everything with Unlock All. And today we're going back in on our storyboarding. So here's where we left off last time. We bought up a bunch of tiles. We installed a technical university over here. We fought game physics to install a bit of a bluff down here. We went ahead and added a local train station up here, rerouted our existing out of town things, so we now have a direct line from our train station in Elizabeth Meadows all the way over here into the yet unnamed lands of whatever. And then on top of that, we added a grand city plaza, which fit perfectly right directly in front of it. We've got a number of uh, buildings here in front. But if you notice on this, we are getting our homeless problem back. And I say that because there's 144 people living in a park, and I don't think that's supposed to happen with this structure. So we got to do something about that. Um, oh, and we also added the switch on factory because I figure, you know what, or sorry, the capacitor building, uh, which is directly next to switch on. So it's just really down the street from the switch on building. And honestly, I figure this because we got people coming in by train. They need something to do. They need places to shop. They want to have a special building here. It's got a great view of the coast and the bay. So, looking at this, there are two things that I really want to do. We need people. We have the opportunity for significant quantities of growth, and we're making money hand over fist right now. We're not making enough for me to get the landmark buildings installed that I want to install, but we're getting really close to that. Um, we're not quite making enough for me to buy all the tiles that I want to buy in the immediate future. Like I want this. I want all of that. Actually, I want all that and that. So when we come over here, we're going to need like a solid 5.5 million. So I can make sure that I'm plotting out our grid for our main downtown area just right. Because downtown is really, let me exit, what we're considering our downtown, what I'm considering downtown, is going to be a mess of things starting really from the edge of our technical college, probably all the way up there, where it'll intercept a highway there. We'll have one, at least one, two, maybe three interchanges leading up through there. We'll have to fix this bobble because, man, that's going to drive me insane. Um, it'll be enough room for a harbor and a couple of other things. But first, going at this from a story perspective, our district developer or our architectural overlord, or however you want to say it, has looked at what we've got and determined that one, we do not have enough people to work our jobs. They can't take our jobs if we don't have the people working our jobs. We got an unemployment rate of like 5%, which is good. Um, and we are only missing about 1,000 people, but we're planning on expanding a bunch of offices and a bunch of commercial things. That's going to open up the job market a lot. And we've got a homeless issue with 357 people. So many people want to move in here, but there's a housing shortage because we haven't really built a lot. Once we built up Elizabeth Meadows, we didn't really build up anything else. And the game is still sending people here who want to work at factories, who want to work at commercial areas, and they move here and they come to school here, and then they can't find housing. And I feel like I should say, welcome to America. Um, and we can fix this with some difficulty, but we're going to fix this by really expanding our cityscape, and that's why I want to really sort of build up over there. But our architecture overlord has decided that he needs some office complexes. He's already got a nice little mansion to live in. This tiny little thing over here that he, established is one of the first things he did, the architect's mansion, over here out in the middle of nowhere. And then but he's like, well, if we're going to put our downtown area down there, maybe sometimes I'm going to want to stay home from work. And I think if I am an egotistical, narcissistic man who has been given control over an entire region, I'm going to start down here by the technical college, right in the middle of the bay, where I'm going to see everything that's going to happen for the city. Everything. So we can ignore the fact that this island kind of looks like a reproductive cell. Is it tail, head? Yeah, we'll just ignore that. Although, from what we've heard from The Sims, the guy who's running this is kind of a, kind of a thing. Yeah, we'll say kind of a thing. So let's look over here in our police and administration. And I was poking around these. Um, I am going to float the idea that even though he hasn't built any yet, that our, ooh, excuse me, that our little city planner over here is a fan of Chinese architecture in a way and wanted to do something that was going to stand out from the bulk of the city so far. It the honest truth is, I just really like how pretty this building looks. I do. My other options are the Eastern European, which is in and of itself kind of terrifying. Um, this district hall is gorgeous. It just about barely fits, but I'm afraid that if I stick it here, I'm gonna have to remodel this island a little bit. I kind of want to go with this anyways. Um, between the Chinese district hall and the city hall, but the city hall actually offers a bonus that the district hall doesn't. The city hall is -1 loan interest, which we hopefully won't have to worry about again, but -2 import costs, whereas the district hall is only -1. It's a small percentage, but it's what it is. The game's default city hall is a building I do love. Um, the Japanese city office is small. I love it, but it's small. The French one, again, pretty much the same thing. Now, I do like the Citizen Service Center, but we're approaching the point where, yeah, at that one, that's no longer the right type of administrative building. We're looking at the City Hall type. So, City Hall, Japan Service Office, the modern City Hall, which we can't actually afford yet because it costs so much. Now, here's the good news. Here's the very good news. We can build more than one of these now. Initially, when I almost said 76, I also stream Fallout videos on this channel. When City Skylines students first came out, we only had one city hall, and then they gave us a bunch, and so now we can stack these. So in theory, I can put down this one and this one and this one, and like end up with two, three, let's see, 5, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14% off of all of our city costs, which or import costs, which honestly, by the time you build all those, money really is not going to matter. Um, might help your city out a little bit, but it's not really going to matter. So I'm going to sort of swing over here and even though it doesn't give us quite the advantages, I think I'm going to sneak this back as far as I reasonably can. Now, we're not ignoring that back area back there. We're just going to have to be a little bit creative with how we do this. So I'll unpause the game here in a minute. Because now that we have that, now that we know which one we're going to use, we've got to do some roadway networking down here. And because this is sort of a bluff, I really want to. Would this be a bluff or peninsula? I don't know. I feel like I should know. I feel like I should know, but I don't want to know enough to grab my phone and Google. So let's sort of broken node right there. Okay, go ahead and fix that before I move on, because otherwise I will probably forget. Oh, and that's the other thing. After the end of the last video, I noticed that I had a little nubbin of a road sticking out here. So I went ahead and I just ran this all the way back up here. It goes right behind the capacitor building. I thought it fit really well. Okay, so that solves that, but let's double check. Okay, that particular bridge, it went ahead and ran water through. And then that is a pylon bridge, so we don't have to worry about that. We're blocking that river. Perfect. Okay, we'll go ahead and unpause. This isn't all that I want to do down here. I'm just not sure what's gonna fit behind this building so well. I feel like something has to fit. Something should fit. Something will fit. What that something will be, I do not know at this time. And how we are going to adjust this landmass. I'm going to be honest with you, this is going to take so much fiddling and fussing that I'm probably going to do it offline. Just to come back over here, because I would like to run a walking path around this, much like we did over at the Technical University. And pretty sure I can do it. Well, obviously you can do anything in this game. It's just a case of I'm going to take like the next minute and a half and no longer. Since I'm doing this, it's live for me, it's not live for you. Let's put it that way. Nothing says video game excitement like watching a guy terraform. I know. Huh, that actually worked. Okay, so it's not the full quay I was hoping for, but I think we can live with this for right now. Alright, and then will allow me to come back over here later, build something up in the back of this. Um, just glancing at our signature buildings, or no, in this case, glancing at our landmarks, really. So our tourist attractions, the medieval castle doesn't fit, although that would be awesome. You know what? I think that's what I'll stick over here. There's the medieval castle is one of those buildings that I love, but I can never find a good spot for it. But I'm thinking, well, I mean, it doesn't really fit with the architecture, does it? I don't know. Sometimes you go with what you know. Other options. Big's the Twain Tower. I'm reasonably sure if I put a large standing building behind this, then Secret Service would threaten me. This city's Secret Service, let me clarify. Um, uh, like I said, I do not know. I mean, we've got some beautiful parks. We do have some beautiful tourist attractions. They're all very expensive and not likely. Like maybe something like this, but the tourist attractions are exceedingly expensive And they make your city look good. They're supposed to draw tourists, but as far as I can tell, the tourism functions in City Skylines 2 are kind of not working the way they I would expect them to. Um, so we'll take that for what it is. Now, I do have this 6-lane road coming through here, which it doesn't really feel necessary to have a road this size, but I'm not somebody who likes to lower the road size. Um, with and it's gonna make this junction up here look kind of weird too. Um, but I really don't think that we need it. So we're just gonna go ahead and change that to a 4-lane road. And I think that's coming out with angular parking through there. Yeah, it looks like it is. So keep this in mind. Your default 6-lane roads are the same size as a 4-lane road with angled parking. So that's something you should know. Okay, we do have a lot of traffic moving through here, though. That's good. Let's take a look at what it is, just out of my own curiosity. So people are coming from the train station, they're coming in from out of town, then they are bypassing the highway to take this to get into the main city. Well, that's a decision. Huh. Okay. Ew. Ew, look at that. Uh, all right. So I guess this tells me what I'm building next. More caffeine. I'm building producers of more caffeine. All right. There's one building type that we need that I never get around to at a timely fashion, and that is a fire station, not a firehouse, but an actual fire station. And we want, let's see, yeah, we want one like this, like the urban fire station or the regular fire station. The regular fire station is actually pretty of a beast of a building, and I think it's awesome. Um, the reason why we want this is because it has something attached to it called the Disaster Response Unit. And the DRU is really important because what it provides is a way to rebuild most buildings and structures that have been damaged or destroyed. They'll try to rescue citizens. We don't care about them, they're replaceable. Um, well, I'm not trying to be cruel, but it is what it is. But say you have a tornado or a fire that wipes out a park or a police station or something. The DRU will go over and they'll have to investigate it before you can rebuild it. Rebuilding is cheaper than just putting a new one in. And it's something super helpful. And I thought I was going to have to put it in right now, but apparently not. So cool. All right. However, while we're keeping that in solid mind, there are several other buildings that we do need to put in here. We're still fighting education crisis, which is not news. What is news is that it seems to be still over here in Elizabeth Meadows. And the only place that doesn't have any direct school coverage is this section, although there's not a lot of houses out here in the holler. So, what I'm thinking is to go ahead and slip a school, probably just go ahead and do another city elementary down right over here. And if I saw that district map right, those houses aren't being served by anything. Let's fix that. Okay, and then let's go over here to Copper Bluff and let's go ahead and expand out. Get coverage from highway. Down to Bayway. Okay, so anything we put in here now has got some coverage of some sorts. You can always, if you're wondering what services are directly servicing an area, you can always click on the name of the district and it'll pop up over here. In this case, crematorium, recycling centers, which would be these two, elementary school, police station, all that. So Before we think about expanding too hard, let's take a look at our services. We're still doing good on energy production, and we can upgrade that. We've got the money. That'll actually help us make more money. We are good on garbage recycling and processing, which is good. We are Our healthcare kind of sucks, but we've got ample crematorium availability and cemetery availability and healthcare availability. Let's just take a quick look. Any areas drastically missing healthcare? Okay, yeah, the college campus, but I kind of knew that. Okay, and this won't really tell me about death care so much. Um, there's a couple of buildings I wanted to stick down though. I was thinking about it last night. These little parish churches are also graveyards, but they fit in very well in small cities. They do offer some outdoor recreation, take that for what you will, and a little bit of extra well being in the immediate area. So it wouldn't be incredibly out of place to see them popping up in a city over here like Elizabeth Meadows. I have to keep reminding myself. And in all honesty, you'd expect to see something like that even over here in a small company town, quote unquote, like over here at Copper. Was it Copper? I just looked at it. Copper Bluffs. Cooper Bluffs. No? Yeah, Cooper. I thought I renamed it to Copper. Hmm. I'll have to fix that. I like Copper Bluffs better. Now, these parish churches do expand. They're cheap to put down, but if you want to add to their graveyard, it's an extra 130,000 aside, which is nuts because they only offer an additional 50 bodies. Um, and while I suppose 50 bodies for 130 grand is eh, actually kind of cheap, at the same time, not in terms of the game. We'll just stick them in a crematorium instead. Let's change this because I really like the idea of calling this Copper Bluff. I like Copper Bluff. Save Copper Bluff. Thank you. All right. Then moving on. So we've done that. They're still complaining about the high crime rate, but that's going to increase as we continue to fight issues with the homeless population. And that's entirely an issue that is my fault. So let's go ahead then and put down another administrative building. I think, and this time we'll stick it over here. Actually, two. Let's put in our community kindergarten that I love. That'll be nice for local kiddos. Then we're going to stick in the Citizen Service Center over here to provide some additional help for people living in and around our company town. We can have like roughly about where that is coming in at. And then right there along the roadside, let's take a second and fill in that. There we go. Just some little park area right around here. Okay, I think that should help the community out pretty well right across here. Let's pick a spot. Let's go ahead and just add a pedestrian pathway right down there. Normally I wouldn't, but let's go ahead and just go ahead and stretch this in. Add a crosswalk there so that people aren't trying just to rabbit across 8 lanes of traffic and that they're also not trying to cross at either of these roundabouts. That seems like a vaguely intelligent idea to me. I have them on occasion. We'll put one there as well. Then we'll come to our road tools. And we'll get rid of that. Okay, so far, so good. The next thing that I really want to look at putting down is going to be a hospital. I think a hospital is going to be a really good idea. We've expanded enough that one would be very much justified. Um, but one we can't really afford just yet. Because while we're making a lot of money, we're not making that much money to expand that quick. And we've incurred some costs putting down some of these buildings. Well, let me go over here and offset our costs while we're making money. If I have to, I'll pick up a loan to get a hospital. I'm really not worried about it. I am no longer in panic mode about losing whatever. Okay. So an additional turbine will increase our electricity production. And just as a quick reminder, so let's look. First, before I do anything, right now, our production is at 168 megawatts with 112% efficiency. And we're going to boost that. We're going to start with an additional turbine. And we're going to wait and see. The good news is when we do this, yeah, there, automatically up to 280. That's excellent. And then we'll go ahead and take a look at adding, what does this do? So while that was 375,000, this one's 250. It's not going to add as much power, but it'll be extra power. Okay, so 333 megawatts. Our usage is back up to 100%. Beautiful. Adds a few extra employees. And what this is going to do is it's really... Oh, that's weird. Take another quick look at that. So now we're exporting practically an additional 100 megawatts of energy. And that will really help offset some of our costs, or at least it should. Yeah, because we were in the negative for electricity. I'm not sure why, but that fixed that. That bumped us back up. Okay. All right. So that'll help in the long run, maybe even the short run. Now, it should be worth noting that your high capacity power lines can only transmit so much power at any given moment. And I feel like there should be a way to tell, but there doesn't really seem to be. The best you can do is to find your closest transformer station and see what the usage is on it. So right here, that one's 38%. We should have another transformer. Do we not? We do not have another transformer coming out of here. That's strange. Why didn't I put in a transformer? Probably because it wasn't needed. So that lone transformer up here is enough that it is supplying power to the whole city. So power from the plant is coming up, it's going up here, it's hitting this, and then it's all going over into local lines. You do have to be occasionally cognizant of the fact that you can run into issues with local lines being overloaded. And I kind of feel like I should do something about that now. I don't have to, but I'm going to. So this capacitor can handle 80 megawatts. Let's take off snapping because I really want to stick it right here. Where's the roadway entrance? And then we'll use an underground power line for this. Because even as an American, I can understand the use for burying cables. Did I connect you? What run? Why are you not piping power? Huh. You're not piping power because, as far as the game is concerned, we have enough power going to this area. That's hilarious. It's annoying, but it's hilarious. So I'm going to take this underground line. I'm going to go shoot it all the way over there. 1 to 2. Okay, well, hmm, that may have been an unnecessary redundancy I just installed. All right. Let's go ahead and put our speed up to 3. So, crime risk is the next hospital and crime. Um, and then we can start building up some housing, I think, depending on how long I've talked so far. So you've had me for half an hour. You've given me your attention and your appreciation, well, at least your attention. So I appreciate you doing that for me. Thank you so very much. I love having you guys on my feed. So let's take a look at some of our other options through here. And they gave us a hospital recently that I love. I love it so much. I don't know if it's too big to stick over here. Might be. The Modern Medical Center is really cool. It actually reminds me a lot of the hospital in my hometown more than like all of these hospitals remind me of the hospitals in my hometown, which is saying something because my town does modern um in all the ways that modern isn't. So like there's a hospital that looks like the Eastern European hospital. There's also a hospital that looks like the modern hospital. Um it's like the growth industry in my area is hospitals, which which is funny, but it's not. So the French hospital, I love this. It is small. It's got a really tiny height footprint. It looks more like an asylum than it does like a hospital to me. It strikes me as the kind of thing that you would expect to see in a mid-sized town of sorts with questionable health coverage. But the one that I love is this Northeast America hospital that looks so much like an apartment complex. Look at this thing. I mean, this looks like the Temple of freaking Gozer. And you can't tell me that that is not so cool. Like, I feel like I'm looking at a cyberpunk structure right there. I think for this area of town, though, it really isn't going to mesh in. It's not going to make a lot of sense. Even if I bring it in over here, um, it's not really going to have the impact that I want it to have. And I'm really upset by that. But just because I'm really upset by that doesn't mean that I'm not going to do it. I think that we can go ahead and justify putting this hospital over here in the now, and then in the later, we'll come over here, we'll add a French hospital as we expand down this way. Just for coverage. But I think right now this is overkill for the limited amount of development we have over here. But we can have this one hospital. It should be enough to cover the whole city. So it's what? I really would like to get this built, so go ahead and pop that loan. All right, so obviously road required for everything. I'm gonna try to nestle this in this corner. And then we're gonna split a 4-lane road. Off of it coming from that direction. Then I'll allow that 4-lane to come up to that pedestrian path. Then I'm going to cut that 4 lane there, but then I'm not going to expand it along this just yet. I want to preserve the zoning there in front of Switchon. So what I'm gonna do is add a pedestrian path that sneaks all around here so that we can continue to have those larger footprints moving down. Otherwise, this 4 lane road would interrupt those squares. Of course, the downside is now we actually have to develop the squares, but that's fine. The question is, do we want to develop them with industry buildings for processing? The ground's already pretty polluted right there. Or do I want to put office or commercial? Taking a quick look at industry, let's see what the airflow is. The air pattern will send pollution all the way to the northeast, like it'll run over the train station, all that. I don't think that I really want to do that. We are going to add just a block of low density offices running right there. Then we'll come back. We'll delete the path we put down. Okay. That solves that. That takes care of that. Then we've got this pedestrian path right here. Let's go ahead and fill this in the rest of the way. So we'll bring that at 90 and then we'll give it just a slight edge right there. There we go. Whoops. We're looking good till the mouse went wild. That's an odd statement to make, and somehow yet it still works. Now I'm going to drink caffeine. All right. So now everything over here is basically a noise polluter. The train station makes noise. The hospital makes noise. This probably makes noise. You can always check to see what your noise pollution monitors are by going over here to your info panel. All the way at the bottom, noise pollution. People don't like to live near things that produce noise pollution. Conversely, they like to live next to commercial buildings. So take your pick. This is all commercial. And they're like, yeah, we want to live next to it. Yeah, why don't those commercial buildings ever stop making noise? I don't know, Karen. Because they're commercial buildings. Like, there's a church on my street that is chronically lit up. And, God love them. But you have to get used to some things. Okay. So, and I want to be clear that they're just chronically lit up. Their sun glows at all hours of the night. They're not chronically lit. And I think that's where I'm going to stop that commentary. Kind of trying to be mindful of pedestrian traffic through here a little bit. Because once we build up these, then I'm going to replace these long pathways, I guess. I don't know. For our purposes, they are west to east pathways with one-way pedestrian streets, so we can zone in a little bit of stuff around the edges as well. So we started by building Northeast American over here, and I feel as we approach a college town, university town, we're going to see a lot of the same things as we migrate into a larger city area. So we're going to switch our building styles a little bit just for the sake of variety. It's entirely possible to do a city in nothing but like Mediterranean buildings. And I've done it before and I love it and it's super beautiful, but I want to see some of these developments. Okay. So we have our pick of high density over here. USA Northeast high density, and let's take a look at our road structure first before I do anything. This is 6, that is 4, That's our 8. I don't want to put heavy residential right across 8 lanes of traffic. Um, I feel like there are easier ways to put the safety of children at risk than put their houses and apartment complexes right on top of a massive, massive arterial stretch of road. And we don't want to put our children's safety at risk here, so we're not. The 6 lane roads, on the other hand, yeah, well, apartments got to go somewhere, right? All right, so we're going ahead and drop some down here. We'll kind of just fill in the medium. Now, these are high density buildings, and they will act as such. We'll have a lot of people moving into them. They're going to require a lot of services and demand. We're going to pause before we start building some of those. So, surprise, surprise, look, it's the city elementary school. And surprise, surprise again, it's the city elementary school. And probably, surprise, surprise. No, I'm not sticking it next to the train station. Surprise, surprise. It's the city elementary school. Why? Because they honestly provide the most number of students you can get. This game is unfortunately very weighted towards children, which, like, it sounds like a weird thing to say, but in the last city I built, it was around, I don't know, 300,000 population. And of that 300,000 population, about 120, I think, were elementary school kids. And elementary is the longest period of which your citizens will be in school. Um, and so as a result, like, schools everywhere, and I still couldn't even keep up. And I'm probably not going to keep up here. Like, it's next to impossible. The devs have said this is intentional. I say it's a bug. Take that for what you will. That's just how I view it. Maybe I'm wrong, but it doesn't seem right to me. Like, I do a lot of charity work that involves kids, a lot of public events, and yeah, the audience is usually a mix of, I want to say 30% children below the age of 18, 30 to 40% at any given fair or festival, with a leaning of, mixed ages adults and then the elderly. Um, so it's kind of close, but with the way that they handle education, it doesn't work in a way that makes sense to me. I would not expect to see 3 major elementary schools within a 3 block radius of each other. Now, where I live, our schools don't pack in 2,000 students that I know of. So while we have a few more schools than this in a city of roughly the same size, this is only a city of 50,000. All of this is 50,000. And we've got so many schools that I feel like this would crush the budget of a town this size without some major federal subsidies. But that's just me. All right. But we don't have federal subsidies. We just ignore a lot of tax functions. And we go from there. All right. Now, I do know that we will have a need for a high school as well. So while the city high schools are fine, let's take a look at our options for our high schools. So the urban high only puts in 800, so does the Mediterranean. However, the urban high school can get a pool on it, and I think that's super awesome. So let's consider that. And let's consider a good place for it. I'd like it to be nearby everything. I don't really like putting schools near hospitals because hospitals are a very noisy bit of infrastructure. But since my focus is always on making sure that everything is in relatively close walking distance, and I don't want to put a high school directly on top of an industrial plant. Fun fact, I mentioned in the previous, no, I mentioned on my TikTok stream that I live about a block away from a decommissioned fiberglass plant, and I do. And a block away in the other direction is an elementary school. So having a high school next to an electronics factory, really not that much of a stretch. However, I'm going to be nice to our students. And so this high school is going to come over here and be part of the educational complex uh, inspired by this technical university. I think that's a fair and reasonable thing to do. We'll stick it over here against this 4 lane with the angled parking. And we'll go ahead and get its operating district selected over here. So what's the gym extension do? Allows students and surrounding citizens to improve their health. Yeah, because I want people who aren't. Well, I guess my junior high does have a pool on it, but it's okay. I have thoughts. Never mind. Just gonna leave it there. Okay, so this doubles the amount of students that can be in here. Okay, that's good. So this will first look really pretty. This will look very pretty down over here as we zone in some medium density buildings and a couple of parks. Um, I think that's going to stand out really well. However, we're taking a hit. We've lost about $30,000 an hour investing in this infrastructure that we need over here. And unfortunately, we're not done yet. Um, I do want to get a police station over here. What I really would like to do is to get a police headquarters installed, which offers pretty significant police expansion. I think for right now, we'll invest in. Let's take a look. Okay, here's the Southwest. Yeah, no. USA Northeast police stations only got 5 patrol cars. That's not enough. I'm looking for at least 10. City police stations got 16. Southwest has 17. Southwest isn't a bad building. Eastern European, man, that's scary to me. The modern police station though. The modern police station feels strangely reasonable. We'll wait and put a police headquarters in once we expand over here and really start getting our larger buildings. So let's just look at the city police station at 220,000. I think this is going to solve any police concerns that I have. I think while it does generate noise, this is something to be aware of. I think it'll do pretty well up here on the 6 lane. This is close enough to the highway that it's likely going to be surrounded by more commercial than it is by residential. And one thing this offers that other places don't is a helipad. So we can go ahead and install that. And that's going to really boost our police coverage across the map. In fact, it's going to boost it so much that I'm going to not only assign it to Copper Bluff, but I'll also go ahead and assign it over here to Elizabeth Meadows just to get the extra coverage. All right, fires next, but we can't afford. Actually, we are broke. We're back down to 166. We're only moving at 2 speed. Let me bump that up to 3 to try to offset this a little bit. Okay, we do have people moving in. This is great. This is wonderful. These have, as soon as these squares zone in, we'll cut that path and replace it. Until then, not so much. All right, let's go over here and look at our medium density, or put in some more. Actually, let's cut this since we do have that extra space. get some mixed housing right there to meet our commercial and medium density demand. And then I would say I don't see any reason why this wouldn't happen. We would take a bit of a 2-lane road. Can I slide it under that bridge? No, no way. I'm looking for something that doesn't stand out super hard. Not really a gas station. Or another pub, because we just installed one a minute ago. Hmm. This is really catching my eye. Um, the Industry Moguls Mansion. I think that fits. It's right next to Switchon Factory. Uh, Slip it right up over here, kind of close to everything. At the end of a cul-de-sac, right there. Perfect, 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 perfect. And then we'll come over and we'll go ahead and go back to our. Do that. Then we'll add our cul-de-sacs here at the end. Now, full disclosure, not everybody's going to like coming to a park that's like directly up against a train line, but I have a friend who absolutely loves trains. Um, and I think they would lose their mind if they could go to a park, have some fun, enjoy a bouncy house, and just like watch the trains pass by every hour. I think they would be completely delighted. So if my friend would be delighted, maybe somebody else would be delighted. So we'll go ahead and do that. All right, so that gives us a good bit of high and medium and some additional stuff. Automatically, we've already gained almost 10,000 people in the last 5 minutes as we did that. There went my caffeine go bye-bye. No. Okay. Still got this corner to deal with coming in around the train station. Um, do we have death care over here? We actually don't. Our closest death care is what? This small crematorium up here. So we do need to add a large, well, and I think we added a couple of small um, churches slash hospitals. It always feels very morbid to me putting in a crematorium beside a hospital, but I feel like it's not the worst place for one. Um, I also like the idea of having one against like a riverside. The only downside is we will need to upgrade this building a little bit and add a couple of things to it. So, and unfortunately, that's a walking path, and I don't really want to change that. I don't want to build too far down there, but we do need to put some death care in here. So, I think what I'll do is I'll go ahead and push it here. We'll take a regular 2-lane road, run it across the front. Okay, that strikes me as pretty reasonable. Operating district selected. Then we'll go ahead and max out its capacity right away to some extent with a couple of garages and freezer. Okay, done. Something we haven't built, two things we haven't built that are like beyond overdue. We've got a few things that are beyond overdue. A park maintenance depot, not really a sexy building, but we use it to keep our parks operating at peak efficiency. And the better our parks work, the more attractive they are, the more people want to use them, the more entertainment value they provide, and all that fun stuff. So I'm going to slip it somehow. Right over here behind and beside his factory. And that's not the only building that's going to go over here if I have any say in the matter. And I may not have any say in the matter. I don't know. So it itself is not an overly attractive building. Like, it's cool enough. Um, but I know we're going to need. Oof, that's huge. The extra garage. So supply storage on site? Okay, yeah. So by the time you get done upgrading this thing, it takes up a decent amount of space. And hey, you know what? That's okay. It's a small price to pay for making sure that our city works as best as our city can. The other building that we don't have yet is the road maintenance depot, which is another building that takes up a whole hunk of a lot of space. And what this does is this will it fixes your roads. It slows down, but it fixes your roads. At night, it'll deploy vehicles that'll patch potholes. Traffic gets stuck behind them. It creates traffic jams. During the day, it improves the speed of your roads pretty significantly, from what I've been able to tell. It also helps clean up traffic wrecks, and as your city grows and expands, you'll have more of those just naturally. Um, and it can make them go away a little bit faster. So we're going to need more than one of them. And again, it's such a large building that we'll go ahead and try to see if we can't affix it back here. Since we're already polluting the area over here, and this is, you know, an industrial center and all that. What's going on over here? Oh, I added a road connection and it messed everything up right there. That's what. Okay. All right. And this is under road services, in case you're wondering. Line it up with that 2-lane road, and then let's take a quick look. Okay, the extra garage from this is built into the building, so it's not separate like the park maintenance depot was. So we've got that going, and it's only got, at max, it's got 15 vehicles. With this, it's only dispatching 2. Weird. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and run a pedestrian path down through here. Pedestrians really shouldn't be walking across there, but just in case they do. Or can I at least run a small pedestrian street across that? Why does this river hate roads so much? It'd be nice to add right there, but okay, what do I know? All right, let's add a couple of northeast. Actually, let's just go ahead and fill in this square right here, this whole square. High density office. And look at this, all of those high density residential buildings have now filled in. That's wonderful. Okay, we'll come back and finish that up in a second. Let's go ahead and back to road services. And you can tell where road services are needed. Oh, well, this is just complaining about parking, isn't it? All right. So another good place for road services going to be over here in this factory complex. I feel like this is a safe place to put it. It's just a matter of finding a place to put it. Don't want to put it right in any way that's going to block the traffic. Less traffic right here. I'm more worried about eventual train traffic coming out of that, but it should be fine. This building is relatively cheap. It's 75,000. It's just one of those things that it's hard to find a good place to make it fit in. And because it's hard to find a good place to make it fit in, I don't usually think to put it down. We really do need another one up here, though, much as I hate to say it. Well, where I live, the DMV's out in the middle of practically nowhere, so I guess it's not going to make. Well, that's not true. They moved the DMV. So now it's in the middle of somewhere. I just like it less where they put it. Nowhere was easier. All right. So just putting this building off the back of a road in the hills is not going to be the worst. Okay. So now we've got a lot of road maintenance vehicles. Somewhere out there, a traffic manager is calling me very rude names. Speaking of rude names, here we have one. I mentioned earlier about our electricity bottlenecks. Well, there is an example. This is it exactly. This is perfect what I mean. If we take a look, this stretch of road is swamped with power because all this area is pulling power down this one spot. And this is what we need our high density lines for and extra transformers. So a choice is to either go underground or overground. Let's first take a look and see where we want to put it. What is this? Citizen Service Center? Uh, it would make sense to me to have a transformer behind the major, you know, the major plant that's eating up electricity. So let's just go ahead and get a regular transformer station. It's more than meets the eye. Not in disguise, though. And if you don't get that, I don't want to tell you. Watch better cartoons. Okay, so we'll go underground with part of that. Then I kind of want to. Mm. I like the look of high voltage power lines when it comes to playing this game, but they don't usually fit in a lot of places. Okay, and that solves the bottleneck. So now this transformer station will serve this area, and then when we expand later, it'll be able to explore and expand off of this transformer up into there. I think we're going to be good. Okay, our demand has come back for more buildings, which is great. Let me go ahead then and fill in one little corner that I missed right through here. Okay, got it. Now let's delete that long path. All of it. And because this is just a small pedestrian path, I'm not going to put any big buildings behind there. What I'm going to stick in, low density doesn't really fit. Um, Medium is going to be what we're going to be working with over here. So let's find our. Do we not have northeast medium density? I was going to say. Go back to our flood fill tool. And then I'm going to go ahead and add a couple of mixed use residential commercial buildings as well back through there. Just so people in these apartment complexes have a place that they can easily shop. Just, trying to be helpful. Then up along this whole stretch right here, though. Go ahead and fill that in with high density commercial along this road. All right. Time got away from me. You guys have been listening to me for an hour now, and I gratefully appreciate it. Playing this game relaxes me, puts me in a better mood, and I hope listening to me helps you feel something. Hope something positive. Let's go with that. I hope it makes you feel something positive. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Josh. Thank you so very much for tuning in today. I hope you had fun. I hope I've given you some basic design ideas. Although today, in all honesty, we didn't do anything overly complicated. What we did today was focus on building up lacking citizen services, building in housing that is badly needed, trying to adjust and work on our crime rate, our death care, our health care for the future, our road networks, our park repair networks, our city services, giving us a little bit of a boost with this building to make it easier for companies to import goods and services into the city, adding in some elementary schools and a high school to boost our education capacity for the area. Did we add a park or two? A couple small ones. And, generally developing some of the issues we laid, not issues, developing some of the neighborhoods we laid some groundwork for. With some notes about things that are going to be necessary in the future, like a larger fire station and a few other things along those lines. So just keep in mind, you can't build everything at once. There's a lot of things that I still want to install in this city that I thought I would have installed by now. Like I anticipated buying up some plots of land up here and putting in a farming community by now. That didn't happen. I'd like to, but it didn't happen. Um, Looking forward in the future, we can anticipate a harbor. We can anticipate a industrial port either here or both. Uh, an additional harbor later down here, Farming communities, our massive bridge project that's going to connect these two edges of the highway together. Like, we've got a lot of work. There's a lot of things I want to do, but we have to lay groundwork. Unless we're playing with no money and we don't care. Or not no money, but money unlocked and we don't care. But we do care because we're not playing with full money unlocked. All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Josh. Thank you for tuning in to Dead Men Streaming on YouTube. Please, 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 oh yes, I did say please. Be sure to give me a like, a follow, a subscribe, or whatever it is, and help me build this channel up a little bit if you would be so pleasantly kind. Don't forget, I also stream Fallout 76 on this channel as well, because I am a man of many tastes, and as much as I love building cities, I love scrounging around in the wasteland as well. All right, thank you so much. You guys have a wonderful afternoon whenever you see this video, and I'll see you soon after that.